Okay, perfect. So this video is for the Thai level massage class level 1. We are here discussing all the Q&A questions, everything leading up to us picking the dates for this training. Our training hopefully will start end of May, beginning of June, but there's some flexibility in that. So I'm going to lay out a little bit of what the program looks like, and then we'll go into a little bit of questions if Casey has any, since she's the only one with me today, and we'll kind of figure everything else out from there. So the layout of the program is a hybrid. We are going to spend 24 hours of that virtually. We're going to split that in 2-hour increments. So there are 5 elements to the elemental training philosophy: earth, water, fire, air, and space. Each one of those connects to one of the 5 lower chakras. And so in that 2-hour chunk of each virtual class, each one has its own individual element. So 2 hours per element, which is 10 hours. And then we'll do a 2-hour recap of how they kind of all interconnect. And so we're going to be going through not only like what the meridians are of each element, what the chakra balancing points are, what it looks like for someone to be excessive or deficient in those categories. We're going to talk about asana postures. And if you don't have a yoga background, it's not a problem, but it might be a steeper learning curve because it's definitely helpful to have some of the asana postures in. Or at least if you've been in yoga classes, like you don't have to be a yoga teacher, but as long as you've been kind of moving through yoga classes, you should be able to at least pick up on terminology. So we'll go through the chakras, the meridians, the asana postures. We're going to go through different Chinese medicine topics a little bit per element. And this is going to create a full body regimen of, if you're seeing a client, you'll be able to give them homework. So asana postures or breath work, meditation practices, mindfulness activities, pretty much anything in the scope of elemental practice. We want to make sure to give them opportunity to grow outside of just the massage place, because the massage is great and fantastic. But the reason that I truly believe like the Tranquility Rising method create sustainability as a business practice is because you're not just a luxury service. You are actually giving them a therapeutic treatment that gives them stepping stones for the next step for them. It's just like, you know, going to talk therapy, except I think it's a little bit better than that even, because you actually have action steps instead of just like ranting about your life. And depending on the therapist you see, you know, you might just get to rant, which is great, but also you need some action steps. So that's our virtual container. Me personally, I would at least like to get us twice a week, because if I do the math, and I don't have my notes on me right now, but if we do 24 hours divided by 2, that's 12 days. And so if we're doing 2 a week, that's 6 weeks already max. So already we're going into a month and a half of just our virtual training. So if we can hit a 3rd day, that's great. That will bring our training down to like 3-4 weeks at a time. So preferably that would be fantastic if we want to get things moving, but schedule wise, it might not be possible to do more than twice a week. After that, or I should say before that, you're going to have a virtual course that I can already send out to you already. It is I will call it the breakdown of what I'm going to be teaching during our virtuals. So it's kind of a broad overview of all 5 elements, how they work. I'm already giving you asana postures. So it's just a virtual container of the stuff I'm already going to teach. But if you have that beforehand, then you get to ask questions, you get to start working on your own stuff. And that's where the work really happens. If we're able to kind of work our own imbalances, then we're able to like work with the client without creating bias towards their problems, because a lot of issues happen when a practitioner is not willing to work on their own stuff, and then they start to push that agenda on the client. So if we're taking care of our stuff during this training, hopefully it gives us different ideas and adaptabilities for the client once we get to the Thai yoga therapy. Okay, so between 4 to 6 weeks virtual stuff, depending on what we decide for training dates. And then as soon as we are done with the virtual training, that's when we're going to get on to hands-on work with the Thai yoga bodywork. So we're going to be learning level 1 Thai yoga bodywork, which means you are going to walk away from this training with 90 minutes to a 2-hour session, depending on how quickly you work through the person. When we're nervous, we tend to move really, really fast. And so next thing you know, that 90-minute session only turned out to be 60 minutes. So part of this training is learning how to pace yourself, how to really get in tune with your own meditation process with the work. And we're going to be doing 84 hours of body work. So ultimately, it's 108 hours of contact hours with me. And then you have that extra 6 hours with the virtual training. So when it comes to the body work, I preferably would like to do a Saturday, Sunday, and just chop out like 8 to 10 hours with a lunch break, because 84 hours is a lot to get through. And if I do the math really quick, if we do 16 hours every weekend, that's 5.5 weeks. That's a long time. So if we do the bare minimum of training, we can end up, taking 12 weeks to do this training, which is 3 months, which is not a bad thing, but we definitely need to get the 8 hours per Saturday, Sunday, if not 10, if people are comfortable with that. I personally think it's beneficial to have those long training days, because when I did my first training in Costa Rica, we did like 16 hours of body work all day. And it's that repetition, it's understanding the body, it's getting those finite, like individual pieces that really fully get you learning. Because I had Thai yoga training prior to this. And I left India not knowing how to give a Thai massage. Like, it was so chaotic. I didn't know what was next. I couldn't remember anything. And it's because our trainings were so spread out. It was like 1 hour in the morning this day and 2 hours the next day and like an hour, like 3 days later. So like, it just doesn't work. We need to have at least 8 hours back to back 2 days. And depending on how many people we have in the training, you guys will be working with each other. And then I have several clients who are never going to not volunteer for being a body for Thai yoga. And that way we can get the people who are crazy, extremely flexible, the people who weigh way too much, which is fine. Like, I have a guy who's 365 pounds, but you need to be able to figure out how to move them, even if they are way past your body weight. And then difficult clients, people with like fibromyalgia or hip replacements, knee replacements, kind of like those difficult clients. Like, we're going to bring them in because I want you guys to have a well-rounded body space to be working on, because traditionally people who are in Thai yoga trainings or yoga trainings, they're yoga bodies, right? Like, quote unquote yoga bodies. So they're your ideal client. But with Thai yoga therapy, we're not working with ideal clients. We're working with those who have legitimate trauma in the emotional space or their body space. So we're going to make sure we get those types of practice in, because it just makes you a more well-rounded practitioner. Okay, I think that is everything. I like ran through it really fast in 10 minutes. Casey, do you have any questions?
No, I mean, I'm excited to get into it, so I'm happy just to talk about scheduling.
Okay, perfect. But let me think if there's anything else, because I know Casey's ready to get going. I will put out this recording and you guys will be able to look at it, and then I will list off dates. And once everybody is finalized with a yes or no for the training, then we will do what the mass majority is capable of coming to. And I will say that we are not planning on having makeup classes. Like, yes, if you get COVID or the stomach flu or like massive digestive issues and you miss a class, like, we will figure out how to make it up, but do not register for class knowing that you are going to be missing like 5 or 6 classes, because I don't have time in my personal schedule to reschedule that many classes. Like we could do one makeup class as an overall generality, but when it comes to like 5 or 6 people being gone 5 or 6 times, it's just not going to work. There will be a secondary opportunity to do this training as well, but it will be in Chicago. So that would be the only makeup time that you would be able to pick up on, but that's not going to be until fall of 2024. So you will not get your certification until you finish all 108 hours of this training. So I think that is everything. If you guys have questions, you're more than welcome to set up a one-on-one with me, or you can shoot me some email questions and we'll get things moving from there. So I'm going to stop this recording and then I'm going to hang out with Casey for a little bit and we're going to talk a little bit more about scheduling and start dates. If I can find the